Hello everybody, this is just a design overview video for this thing. This is a shell-fed pistol with a plunger tube in the grip, as you can see there, with a pivoting barrel. So if I grab these bits, it pivots off of this point here, and this will open up approximately that far. Then you can take out your shell. Got these two little finger grooves up here, one up on the top and one on the bottom. Just take out your shell, and then put in a new one, and then push it closed. The barrel will be popping open automatically. There will be a piece of elastic, probably elastic, going from here to back here somewhere to kind of fling it out. And then this thing here is the release button. You just kind of push this up like that, and then that lifts this thingy here, which is holding the barrel in place. And that's spring-loaded. And then, other than that, this is a pretty normal plunger tube in grip pistol setup. This is using a caliburnoid style sear mechanism. You got your sear down here, you got springs pushing up on it from down there, and you got your trigger up here, pivoting trigger, pivots just like this, like that, 15 degrees, and then that will push this back down here, 15 degrees, releasing the plunger. This has a 95mm prime, which is the same amount of prime as an Alchemist, but this uses a thinner plunger tube than an Alchemist. So if I grab this here, this number here is the McMaster part number if people want to go and look it up. But this is a thinner size of plunger tube that I've been trying out in some recent designs. It is slightly larger than a zinc plunger tube, and slightly larger than a gecko plunger tube, but slightly smaller than a typical Caliburn or Lynx or other plunger tube that I've used before. So those other ones are like 1.5 inch OD. This is slightly smaller than that. So you can see the diameter here. If I bring this to inches, it's 1.25 inch OD. So yeah, a little bit thinner, but it does still get you good power, and that should work well for it with the 95mm prime of this blaster. And yeah, that's what that is. And then you can see this has a plunger rod. Oh, if I hide this structural bar, this has a plunger rod right here, which is connected to the plunger head. And the plunger head has a catch notch in it. And then that just you pull that down, and then that will catch in there, and then you can release it. And then this has structural 1032 threaded rods, one on each side of the plunger tube. You can see there. And then I'm planning on having two more, probably, along this side of the front of the blaster, just for strength. Yeah, something here, just to make it a little bit stronger. This has Picatinny on it. That's just enough Picatinny up here to put a vertical grip there, if you want to do that for some reason. It has plenty of Picatinny up top. It has gutter sights. So that's the, if I align it, that's this little notch in the middle. That lets you look down the sights and use it as a big iron sight. Or look down the Picatinny and use it as a big iron sight. Then it also has these little ears here of iron sighty goodness. And, yeah. It also has a sling point. I haven't decided for sure the shape of this. That's the one portion of this that I'm sort of iffy on aesthetics. Rest of this, pretty darn happy with. But that bit is just kind of, I don't know. That also doubles as the beaver tail for the grip to prevent your hand from riding too high up. And then this also has a little plunger tube viewing slot in the back. This blaster is not small. I do have an Alchemist here for scale. Here's an Alchemist for scale. Pretty big blaster. Theoretically, still holsterable, but yeah, not small. Not small. And then, yeah. What else is there to say? The aesthetics of this are based on the, what is it, M320 grenade launcher? M320. Let me just make sure that's it. Grenade launcher. Yes, the M320 grenade launcher. If I just pull up an image, you can just, here you go. That's what it's based on. That guy right there. There you go. Based on that, aesthetically. You can kind of see that with the trigger shape, definitely, and with the trigger guard, but also with this little viewing slot here, and how the barrel pivots and all that stuff. It's very similar. But yeah, so that's what I went with for aesthetics and for functionality. It also has the barrel release mechanism in the same spot. Basically looked at this thing and went, huh, I could stick a shell in there and a plunger tube in the grip and it would work pretty well. I'm going to do that. So I did that. And then I got here. I have no idea how the trigger mechanism and the barrel release mechanism on the actual firearm work. So I kind of just went with what works as a toy. So that's how I ended up with this. Kind of went, huh, how am I going to do that? Okay, I did it. And yeah, hopefully it works. Haven't printed a prototype with this yet. What else? The method of reinforcing the handle with these two threaded rods on each side, or one threaded rod on each side, that is from the CAD Nerf Breaking Wind. I think that's CAD Nerf Breaking Wind. As you can tell, I'm very prepared to make this video. Yeah, based on this guy, this thing, which is a pretty big blaster. But yeah, based the priming, or not the priming, these reinforcements on that blaster, because that's a very good way to do it. So yeah, I put those there, and that gives more space for the trigger mechanism here. It does make the grip a little bit wide, but it helps reduce it front to back length, which I think it should be fine. What else? Oh, by the way, I just have this here for testing scale, because the maker of this asked me for some help like a year or two ago. Just using it for scale to see if I have the grip even remotely correct for human hands. I think it is. Anyway, again, haven't printed one of these yet, so I'm not sure. There are these like thinned out areas, kind of scalloped out of the grip to make it a little bit thinner. But yeah, we'll see how it feels in the hands. What else have we got here? I can also give you a cross section. Ooh. So I'm trying out a few different ways of setting up internals I've never done before, such as this style of turnaround up here. The air is coming from below, and then it goes up, and then does a little turn to get into the shell. This whole area, this part here, and then the part that holds the barrel are all, I'm very proud of how those are set up thus far. So we got this thing. I should turn off that. This is a pretty funky looking part, and it prints on this face, this flat face down here. So it prints with the turnaround facing downwards. Prints all the O-ring grooves and stuff, and then all of this stuff. And yeah, I think that'll turn out well. And then it has this kind of lump sticking out of the face, and that's to keep all the sealing components up against the shell as one part. So I could have split this here and had an extra O-ring in between those, but no real reason to do that when you can just kind of have it like that. And then the back bit of the barrel carriage, so the thing that's holding the carriage, or thing that's holding the barrel, has this little slot cut out of it and a tapered entrance to make it kind of sit in there nicely. And that'll just kind of sit in there. And then the part below that, which is grip top. Where's grip top? Grip. Am I blind? Here it is. Grip top. So we got this bit here, and that mainly just holds all of the stuff in the correct spacing. And then I'm planning to put some screws in there from the top down into this piece from this part, probably in these lumps here where there's nothing really going on. Some screws going downwards to attach that better. And then also maybe some screws coming in from this face, this direction, into those two parts to kind of lock everything together into one big chunk. And then this bottom portion being nice and thick in these areas down here will help with the threaded rods coming in from the lengthwise position. This is not the final positioning of this, but that's roughly sort of where it's going to go. But you can see here it kind of collides with that one. So there's some funky sizing that needs to be worked out. But I think I'm going to try and stick a threaded rod somewhere along this lengthwise area just to make it a little bit stronger. Or I could just merge these two Picatinny rails into one rail, put screws through that, and then make this bottom bit stronger. And screw this to this. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Yeah. This barrel carriage prints on this flat face up front with some supports in this area here. And then this is the pivot point for the barrel, which you can see there. Barrel is made out of two pieces. Has this little muzzle piece with some screws. And has this barrel piece, which is printed on this face. As you can see, it prints like that, more or less. There we go. And then, yeah, it has this little notch down here to catch onto the barrel release mechanism. It has a little viewing slot to see the shell. It has finger grooves to grab the shell. It has this little lump just for aesthetics, because that's what the M320 has, and it looks nice. So I added it, and yeah. I don't think I really have much else to say, other than there's also an airflow path down here to let air into the plunger. It's got this little grate down there, and it's got this little thingy in here. Lets air into the plunger, or lets air in behind the plunger, which should increase FPS. And then these trigger guard pieces are just really big things that are flat. And then have the screw down here to attach it. And yeah. Pretty darn happy with this thus far. It's a very fun design to work around so far. Lots of different new printing techniques I'm trying out and different ways of laying things out. Pretty happy with it. So, yeah. I think that's all that I've got to show you today. And, yeah. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'm good at finishing off videos. Bye-bye.